In this video, we are going to show you all of the things that we've been working on this spring and some of the things that we were working on last winter in order to accomplish this spring. There's a lot to get done in order to actually have a successful harvest in the fall.
We'll show you what we're getting after.
So first thing we're going to show you is in this greenhouse right here. In this greenhouse, we keep a lot of our starts that we will be selling. So anything that's potted up is a selling item at our farmers market. And then all of these right here that are a lot less far along, tomatoes, peppers, all sorts of stuff, these are actually the things we will end up planting. So we have a ton of stuff in here. Whole trays of tomatoes. We planted them one per pod. In the past, we've done a little bit more and then divided them up. Next year, we will not be doing that. We will just stick with the one per pod because we can get them a lot bigger and not have to transplant for a lot longer. So that's one of the things we've learned this year. Kind of an obvious thing, but we were trying to save space in the past as far as on our seed cell trays, but we're just not going to do that anymore. We have a ton of peppers, ton of green chilies, a ton of eggplants that we're planting. All of these are for sale items. I have some garlic I'm experimenting with down there to see. That actually was in the root cellar, the stuff in here. And when I pulled it out of the root cellar, it had started to sprout. Some of it I salvaged and we put in the kitchen, and some of it I was going to pot up and sell. Now, it didn't actually go through a real cold snap in the winter, so I'm wondering if it will bulb out. I opted not to sell it, and I'm just going to find a place to plant that in our yard, and we'll see if it makes a nice big garlic. If you know if it will work or not, I would appreciate hearing it in the comments. That would be kind of helpful, kind of help me skip a step if it's not going to work out. But they started to sprout, so I'm going to stick them in somewhere. We already have a ton of garlic planted, but it's a good thing to have more of. We also have something that's one of my favorite things. All of these are save seed zinnias, and these are going to be items that we're going to go and sell, like the whole little tray. And these are awesome because save seed, it's reused container and it's soil. This is practically for free, but we're going to be able to make a little bit of money off of it. And they're gorgeous. They did so amazing in the past. So I will start some for our personal use, but all of these I'm hoping to sell for other people to enjoy, and they're really beautiful. These were overwintered artichokes that we put in the root cellar, and to our surprise, well, it was kind of an experiment. We're glad it worked out. They lived. We have 2 of them that made it through the winter. These are the only 2 we actually put in there. We are already having an aphid infestation on this one right here. So that's just something that these artichokes tend to always have. We probably need to do some better mitigation of not letting that happen. You can see the old stock from last year right there. But hopefully we will have artichokes a lot earlier in the season this year. This is the first year we've ever overwintered artichokes. We start them fresh every year because we're in zone 4 and you have to have a special seed so they will flower the first year. And we're kind of skipping a step with this year. So we'll see how this goes. That's a fun experiment. Here's something kind of sad. This is the one sweet potato that I'm trying to get to vine out and make sweet potato plants. This is my 3rd attempt at making sweet potatoes this year. It has been quite a challenge. I've had many of them rot. This one has not rotten, but it's not really rooting all that well. You can see the bottom there. They are barely really rooting. So we'll see. My daughter picked this one off, so I just stuck it in the soil. It should grow roots. We'll see if we end up with any Beauregard. Those are Beauregard right there. Otherwise, I do have a different variety. I think Covington and one other variety that's coming in the mail. I just know they will come very late in the season once we're past any frost risk. So that's about it in this greenhouse. Let's take you to another place in the property. Over here, I'm going to show you my husband's apple orchard that he worked on a lot last year.
Our apples are coming back to life from last winter, and things don't look great, but they're not the worst. I mean, some of the tried and true varieties are doing well. Kerr here is coming back. Norland, we got a Norland tree that's covered in flowers back there. And I did put a bunch of zone 4 apple trees, advertised as zone 4 apple trees in here, and they all died. So I have to do a whole bunch of more grafting in here to replace those. Luckily, I bought a bunch of sign wood, so I should be able to do it and hopefully get it looking decent again. And so I've been grafting on some of the ones that have died off, and I have a bunch more to do yet.
Something that we are thinking about doing out here is we've had a major weed problem out here, and this particular rootstock, it's called Bud 9 rootstock that he put all these on. It is not supposed to have any grass growing up next to it. It will hinder the growth and make it not productive or something like
It
that.
outcompetes the roots.
Yeah. So it needs to not have any grass or weeds growing next to it. So our current thought right now is we really don't want to spray, but our current thought right now is that we're going to pull all the mulch off, cardboard it, and then put the mulch back over top of the cardboard and see if that helps us out. That's kind of where we're at right now, so we might do a video about doing that on our channel or tell you how it is as far as if it's successful or not in the long run. He also does have some posts on both ends of each row of this that will make a trellis at some point. We just ran out of time last year to really get it in.
Doesn't need to get in until the trees are really tall, and like some of them are getting there, then they get whippy. So.
Yep, but we do get windy here, so that will be nice once we get it done. He's also been grafting a lot of trees elsewhere in the property, but these are just this is the high density apple orchard that
Dwarf.
Yeah,
trees.
the dwarf trees that he put in last year. And we still have the chickens over here on this kind of turning into a barren land. I mean, you can see exactly where they've been. We prefer not to do this, but right now, until we get all our pastures all figured out, this is where chickens are. They still get to roam around and be chickens, so that's pretty good. We did also get all these trees pruned up because right here is kind of the corner of the property, and in the plans is possibly to put our self-serve farm stand right there and to kind of redo the fence line so that we can have a self-serve farm stand again at this property. Here is the root cellar. Last year when we made this similar video, when we had just bought this farm, it was in March. It is May now. The root cellar has been done. We enjoyed it all winter. I have some tours and some info on our channel if you're curious about it or about the build. This year what we need to do though is some landscaping. It is less than gorgeous out here, and it needs some fixing, I think. I don't like how bumpy the ground is, and we need to also put something on the top of it to cover it up as far as some sort of a grass or a wildflower or something.
Keep the moon dust down.
Yeah, open to suggestions about what to put up there. And otherwise we are just dealing with exactly what he said, some moon dust. It's some nasty dirt that we have in this area of the property. This is what I'm talking about as far as we need to get some sort of ground cover on this, because what we're going to end up having on this, as everybody knows, is tons of weeds that are already starting to come in, but we need to get on this very soon. And back here along the fence line, this needs to get tidied up a little bit and everything nice and smoothed out. Our neighbor's disking up his field right now, so sorry if you can hear that tractor back there. So now we are down in the root cellar, and I'm trying to count and talk. We are separating our potatoes. These are seed potatoes that will go in our garden. We have 5 varieties, and we're making sure that we have enough for us, for our gardens. We're maybe gonna sell some, and these are actually in pretty good shape still, so we're gonna keep eating on them as well. So let's get these separated. What we're doing is we're doing 100 in each basket, maybe a little extra, like 120. I'm gonna take them inside, I'm gonna cut them and divide them, and then let them cure a little bit, and then we will be planting those out in the field.
'84.
Okay, I'm at 125 in this bucket. We have 4 varieties. We have 5 varieties. We have, these are Harvest Moon. We have Harvest Moon, Huckleberry Gold, Pinto Gold. We have a red potato and a white potato. We don't know those 2 variety names, but we like our 5 varieties that we have right now, so we're going to make sure to keep growing them. We are planting about 10 100-foot rows of potatoes. I had to think about that for a minute. We might end up with a couple extra rows than that. I'm not really sure, but that's kind of the minimum that we're at, that we want to be at. So let's get these up to the house.
You got Harvest Moon done?
Harvest Moon's done.
Huckleberry Gold?
Pinto Gold, Reds.
We need Huckleberry Gold.
We need our huckleberries. I know I talked about this before, but having a good box to put your stuff in, I cannot stress the value in that. That is such a nice thing to have. These are just the Costco Insta crates. I know there's way better boxes to have out there for market farming, but this is what we ended up getting because we could find them. And sometimes finding stuff is really hard. That is when you're looking for farming stuff and no one else around you farms. So another thing, we're not planting our potatoes today. We are taking these upstairs to the house in order to cut them so we can get more than one plant out of each potato and to let them eye out a bit more. Like this one, I don't know if you can see, the lighting is really bad. No, you can't see it all. It looks like we're in a creepy dungeon. Okay, let's try it here. There we go. This one is eyeing out nicely, whereas this one, the red potato, barely starting to eye out. I've heard you can plant them without eyeing them out. We have always let ours eye out, so I'm just going to continue to do this. So that's why we're going through this extra step and to kind of see what we have, make sure we have enough. Here we go. We have Huckleberry Gold, our white potatoes, Harvest Moon, Pinto Gold, and our red potatoes. You can see just the difference in how much some of them are eyeing out compared to others that are not at all. Just one of the farm things to get done in spring. So this is back inside the chicken yard. I don't know if you can see those rows of sticks. That's what they look like. They are grafted apples. My husband is putting another apple orchard back here. I think those are 10-foot spacings. These are going to be on Bud 118 rootstock, and I'm really hoping we don't have to weed mat this area and mulch it. Nope, he says the grass can just go right up. I know it's really hard to see right now probably, but there are some grafted apple trees planted out there, and that's something else we've been working on. Right here, our perennial flowers are starting to come back. I am so excited about this, except for the weeds in here. That has been a real problem. I've been working on taking them out and keeping them out with a stirrup hoe. That does help, but we have bindweed, so it's kind of just in the ground. So I have to really keep up on it. I would really like some other ways to deal with it if anybody has any suggestions, but this is coming back nicely. One of the plans that we do have is to get this fence out of here. I mean, you can see it's rotting apart, and a big problem that we've been having is all this bindweed that grows up inside the fence that's all mixed into the gorgeous flowers. It is really tricky to manage in the summer when everything is in full bloom and we're worried about produce and dealing with produce rather than just dealing with weeds. And having this fence here has been a problem, so we're going to be pulling it out. This is the original garden space for the property, and it, as you can tell, the weeds are starting to come back in it. So we really just have a weed problem here that we need to deal with. Right here in all of these raised beds, we have garlic that we planted last fall. I know I showed you the other stuff in the greenhouse. This stuff looks really good. I dug a couple of them up just to see if they were coming up, and they were before they had really come up like they are now. So we have 3 beds of those, and then this bed right here is sunchokes. This is a first year growing sunchoke, so we'll see. Before we get to the greenhouse, here's another project in the making. These are Hascamp berries, also mixed with some currants towards the end where we lost some Hascamp berries and we had some empty spots. We are using our old weed mat from last year's chili field out here to hopefully mitigate these weeds. Last year, these Hascamp berries really just got like crowded and overtaken by weeds. And this is just one of those things that once we're in full garden mode, it gets ignored and it gets very overlooked. So we're hoping the weed mat will help really kill it back. Over on this side, there's a little bit of lettuce I planted earlier today, just for kind of some lettuce for our family, because pretty soon we are going to be tearing up this greenhouse. We tried this year something new. What we tried this year was to grow some greens like lettuce, spinach, arugula, and right here, these are radishes, so that when we go to farmer's market with our potted plants, we could also have some produce to sell. Last week was our first week, and I will say the lettuce and spinach and arugula sales was less than successful. We only sold a couple of bags. It was actually kind of a bummer a little bit. I am going to package them a little bit differently next week, and we'll try it again. Plus, I personally am really hating the way that they are so time consuming to wash and then dry and then bag and like weigh them and make sure they stay really cold. Our farmer's market spot is in direct sunlight, so we're gonna have to figure out a way to shade them. Otherwise, whatever container they're in, it's like a little greenhouse for your greens and it's just baking them. So this is a learning curve for us again. There's always something to learn in gardening. You could be doing it for so many years and you always learn something new. And this year I don't think I would call it successful quite yet. And the other thing is that if we didn't have this filled with greens right now, we would already have it planted to our tomatoes. And our tomatoes would already be growing in here because this is a heated greenhouse. We can heat it at night with propane furnace if we need to. And right now we traded this for the early tomatoes, and I don't think I love that idea. So we'll show you the plants that will end up going in this greenhouse next. So we have some butter crunch lettuce over there, and then this row here, these are some radishes. We have spinach over here. I mean, you can see things are just kind of, they're not impressive by my standards, and that's why I kind of don't want to repeat it. There's some more radishes back there. These are onion starts, which look like really good. Let me pull one out. This is just one that made it in here. These are ready to get planted, and I'm going to show you where we're going to plant these pretty soon. So just trying to keep these alive because they're really crowded in their pods right now. This one has 3. I do see a little bit of soil still in there. We have 4 different varieties this year that we're trying out. Over here, we have all of our tomatoes that I honestly think we should have started our greenhouse tomatoes earlier, and next year we will plan on doing that. So they're tiny still. And this fact, the fact that they're so tiny, is part of the reason I'm not kicking myself too hard for trying this whole greens thing this year. Next year, I think we will start only our greenhouse tomatoes earlier. I didn't realize when I was planning all the seed start timeline and everything that I need to start just the greenhouse tomatoes earlier. The ones that you saw in the other little greenhouse, those ones are field tomatoes. And these were transplanted and buried deep. That's part of the reason they look so ridiculously tiny. But also these were not planted 1 cell per pod either. So there was like some dividing of them that went on, and then some of them lack nutrition because they were planted a little bit thicker, and that's just something we're going to fix. This stuff in here, these tomatoes in here, these were started a long time ago, like back in February, and they were started in soil that was like less than perfect, I will say. And you can see some of the leaves are curling and some of the leaves don't look good, and this kind of happened right off the bat. We tried to get them to bounce back. We switched up their soil and all that. It didn't work. I'm considering these particular tomato plants back here kind of a flop. We're probably just going to pull them all out when we plant this greenhouse very soon. Let's go to the big field. So out here, this mess of weeds, this is where we're going to plant a majority of our crops this year. And right now we are looking into getting a plastic weed mulcher in order to make this more of a reality and save us some headaches this summer, I hope, as far as managing all of these weeds. And I'm actually thinking about cover cropping in between the rows and trying to grow something on purpose in between the rows, but we'll see how that goes. Over on the side, we did our first attempt at a low tunnel or a caterpillar tunnel. We've never used those before. There's just greens in there, some chard and kale. We'll go show you them real quick. Some lettuce, some spinach, those sorts of things. And I mean, they're doing okay. Middle of May though, I'm not like super thrilled with them. That kale plant in there looks pretty good, that one. Look at all those weeds though too. We gotta get in here and do something about all the weeds. We've kind of just put the tarp over the top and ignored it. And they look a little bit yellow. I wonder if they've got too hot at times and then too cool at times. We need to get in there with the stirrup hoe. Is that all lamb's quarter? Some of that? Yeah, some of that's lamb's quarter weed, which will be just fine to get out with the stirrup hoe. I see bindweed in there too though. In this field, what we're planting, it's about 200 feet in the length. So we're gonna do 200-foot rows. So the first row will come to about where the caterpillar tunnel is, and then we'll have another about 100-foot row back there. And we are not late on our planting date by any means. in zone 4 where we are, we really do need to take our time and wait to plant because we have been burned before by late spring frost, and I don't want it to happen again. The field over there, we are going to be turning that into our cornfield. Last year, this was our cornfield. There's a little piece of corn right there. And that's going to become the cornfield over there, except for where it like turns to a weird triangle portion. Just we're going to kind of make a little rectangle over there, and it's going to be a cornfield. Right here is another thing that we've been wanting to work on for a long time, and that is a bigger compost pile system. So my husband's been mixing old hay, lots of like greens and browns and manure from the horse and things like that, and these piles are getting pretty hot and they have shrunk a lot too.
Our compost piles, we're just trying to get rid of a lot of old hay and stuff like that and try to make it into something useful, put back on our fields. And I've been mixing like 4 bucketfuls of brown or carbon to 1 bucket of nitrogen, and then watering it and trying to turn it every so often. That one's cooking really good. It's nice and warm. That one's cooled off. The problem I've been having in the past too is it gets going and then you turn it and then it quits working and kind of just sits there. So I don't know if I need to add more nitrogen at that point or what, but I'm trying to work on that and figure it out. I think I'll get there. Decomposition, how hard can it be? We'll see.
Right here there was a fence that we opted to just yank out because it wasn't really doing anything as far as holding any animals in or keeping any deer out. It was kind of just there for the previous owners, goats and sheep, so we opted to yank it out to make getting at all this more accessible with driving the tractor in and out of here. Let's take you up to our big build from last winter. This is the big building that we had put in last spring, I think in about March, and we have been working on it a lot in the inside. So I'm going to take you inside, give you a quick sneak peek. I might make a video later about all of the build and kind of show you about it and give you a tour, but right now it's just kind of a quick view. Someone wants to say hi. It is a mess. I have not cleaned anything up and it is a project. So come on in. This will be our main storage for the tractor. Eventually, over here, behind this fridge that will go in the living quarters, there will be a cold room over here. Over here, this will end up being a big storage area for all of the farm stuff. There's so much farm stuff. I might even put my potting things in here as far as all of the garden pots to grow all the plants and all that. I might make a section in here. I'm not really sure, but this is going to be a storage area. This right here is a bedroom for people who come to visit, and it is a work in progress. No ceiling yet, no trim, nothing in the closet. It's work in progress. Now we're taking you into the living quarters that will be working all year as far as heated. So bathroom that is getting near, and then we have a living area over here. So living area over here, it is still a work in progress. Kitchenette will be over here. I'll do a full tour later, but this is something that we've been working on like crazy all winter long, and it's still not done. Bedroom back here, not much, just a room with a closet. More boards for the ceiling. We are in the upstairs, and this is one of the areas that is actually more done in here, a weight room. So we've been using this a lot. It's really nice to have this extra space. That about wraps up this video. Just kind of a quick overview. There's so much more to do that we didn't even include in this video. Overall, what's your biggest goal for the year?
My goal for the year is not to let the weeds win and to not get overrun and overworked.
Yes, that would be good. Also, to grow some really good produce and grow an abundant amount of produce is another goal for sure. We had all our soil tested. Hopefully, we're listening to the tests enough and doing what we need to do so that we can grow a lot of produce. Thank you for checking out this spring farm tour. I know there's not lots of beautiful, pretty things to look at in this video like there are in our other garden tours, but this is really where it starts, and that's why I wanted to make this video, because it's not all just the beautiful, growing, luscious environment that sometimes we do film.
The end result that we're going for.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks.